Hello and welcome to episode 15 of my Wurm Unlimited tutorial. This episode, is not going to be on clay. It was going to be on clay because clay is important in our progression rate that we're going along, which I'll explain when I get to. But it is going to be on gardening this episode. I want to thank Christopher because he asked a question with regards to trees, which you've heard me mention in another episode. You know, the need we have for trees, and they're slow to grow, so it's important that I show you how to do a forest. Basically, if you want, you can have a forest of whatever you want. So this episode's on gardening. Thank you very much to Christopher for helping us to create a new episode. And clay will be next. I won't promise. I'll just say clay will be next. And I want to thank Brash. I'm very sorry that it took me so long for us to reply to you, me and Rainstorm. But I just was going through all the different... I'd missed it because it was a reply to a reply. But you know that was fantastic, Brash, that you helped out someone else in the comments. So thank you very much for that. Absolutely fantastic. And lastly, just thank you to John for his comments on the containers, because there was one thing that I didn't mention in the container episode, which was, his question was, good question from John, which was what happens if you have a bulk storage bin, for example, full of items, and it rots. So what happens is, if that if the bulk storage bin rots, all of these items will then appear on the ground. When they was in the BSB, they weren't rotting, but as soon as this rots and they get dropped on the ground, all of these items will then start rotting. That's why you keep checking the quality level and the damage. If you've got an item in an item, so if we had the pottery bowl in the barrel like I showed you, it will be the same again. It will rot, and it will be in your pocket if it's stuff you're carrying. If it's on the ground, it'll just be a pile of items like that. Check that box we see with the tools hanging out of it. So that's to clear that up. Thank you very much for your comments, all of you. It's absolutely wonderful, which is helping us to make this a much more informative channel, or series. No, that's what it is, series. So excuse me, sorry about that. Because of all your comments, your fantastic comments and questions, we're getting ideas for episodes, and also we're getting information, and also you're even starting to help each other. How fantastic is that you'd actually give some of your time to helping others that ask questions. It's brilliant. Thank you to all of you, everyone that has made any comments so far. Okay, so moving on. This episode then is about gardening, and it's very important for wood, which is something we are going to go through. Huge amounts of wood. As you can see, everything around us is made of wood, well, apart from, of course, that, and of course my delightful coffin, but we need wood for a great deal of items, and the fence, of course, that was wood. So the first thing you want to do when you've in this progression that we're going along is obviously to get loads of trees planted. So that's hence why we're now going to have gardening, because that's covered under gardening. How do we plant trees? Where do trees come from? I know that they spawn on the map, but when you chop them up and you start leveling the whole ground and you clear cut a whole area of your world and there's no trees left, and then you're left there upset because there's no wood, where do they come? How do we create them? So that's what we're going to go through now. Okay, it all starts with us having to create a new tool that we've not used before, which was excellent, because that's what I want to do as we cover new episodes. Introduce the new tools gradually. I'm not going to go through a list of 100 tools to you and tell you what they're for. It's pointless. Let's approach each tool as it becomes relevant in each subject. So with gardening, it's going to be relevant. So before I go over to Wurmpedia to read to you all the different things about gardening. Let's first get the tool. The tool we need, of course, is a sickle. So the forge is nice and hot. You can see I've been a little prepared for this episode, not wasted your time. So we're going to need a lump of iron and a large anvil. Okay, forget that I've got one in there, that's for improving at some later date. Okay, let's open up the crafting window. Let's find, oh look at that, I've even been prepared to have that ready. Okay, so we need large anvil and an iron lump. To create, first thing we have to do is create the sickle blade. Okay, so we'll add that to the crafting window. We got a lump of iron. We already know in a previous episode with me making a fool of myself that what needs to go in this box. So we will just right click the large anvil on the ground and add to the crafting window. Saves me looking a fool again. There we go. So now we'll need to come down and find what we're looking for, which is the sickle blade. There we are. Oh, fantastic. Click create. Here we go. Now we're cooking or smithing. And it's going to take a lot of tries because this falls under weaponsmithing, and I've already warned you about that. It's a grueling skill, that one. Be prepared for lots of failures. But there we are, we got it in the end. Okay, so now that we have our sickle blade, if we come back up here to the crafting window, we can see we need a handle and a sickle blade. I've already shown you how to make handles, so I have one prepared. Let's get rid of the iron, we don't need that anymore. That can go back in the forge, keep it nice and hot, keep you in good habits. Okay, so now to create this, we'll right click on the sickle, add to the crafting window. There we go, and there's our sickle. This is also difficult to make, but we will persevere. That is the whole point of this series, perseverance. There'll be no rage quitting here, I can tell you. Okay. It's all good, because even if I keep failing, the skill's going up wonderfully. And this is a skill you need to work on. You are going to need to be able to take, if you're like out in the wilderness, you're going to need to take care of weapons. You're going to need to arm yourself at some point. We'll get to it. But that is another episode. Okay, so we have our sickle. You'll notice that as we use it, under the miscellaneous, of course, is all the tools. And there's our sickle. Starting right at the beginning, we're gonna be failing lots. But it doesn't matter. We're now gonna do gardening. So now that we have our tool, because I didn't want the forge to cool down while I'm reading Wurmpedia. So now that we have our tool, let's go. I'm going to switch over to Wurmpedia and read you a little information from that with regards to gardening. And I will put a link in the description, which I've been doing. I hope you've all been noticing that under the description for every video. Not every single one. There's still some I need to check. But I do try to put a link to Wurmpedia on that subject that I've covered. So, on Wurmpedia, I'm going to read from the gardening page. First of all, the description they give us. Gardening is a skill used to plant sprouts, flowers and mixed grass. It is also gained by cutting grass to obtain mixed grass, picking flowers and gathering reed. Gardening does not include sowing seeds for farming. No, we've done that in farming. Watering potted flowers and flower beds also gives gardening skill. Well, that's really useful to know if you want a nice way, like if you've made a nice house and you've got potted plants all through it, you want to keep your flowers in prime condition in the pots. Next it says improving trellises gives gardening skills as well. So it uses carpentry tools, but it gives you the gardening skill, improving trellises. Under that it's got notes. Increases soul and soul depth. So over here in the skills, well, it's talking about, oh, not there, under characteristics, soul and soul depth. Okay, so the primary and the secondary, that's what it's saying that it will improve this using this skill. Okay, next, at level 15 gardeners can mouse over grass, flowers, reeds, step tiles up to 1 tile away to determine the height and the flower type. Very, very fantastic. Just like we've been looking at with digging and farming, that when you got to 15, or what it was for digging, I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was 15 or 20, that it showed us when we hovered over a border with digging, and with gardening, of course, it was just simply hovering over the tile. You see there it says untended, so that's the bonus we got with that. Okay, carrying on from the Wurmpedia. Level 30 gardeners can mouse over tiles up to 2 tiles away. Level 50 gardeners get the message, you plant the sprout, and you can almost feel it start sucking nutrition from the earth when planting a sprout. Okay, there's a good message. Level 60 gardeners get the message, you plant the sprout, and you get a weird feeling that the plant thanks you. When okay, the bird agrees with me. When planting a sprout, and the level 50 message when planting a flower. So when planting a sprout, you get that message. When planting a flower, you'll get a similar one for that. Okay, that clears that up. Excuse me, sorry for that. Okay, with all the skills, most of them that I know of, you get titles as you progress in skill level. At skill level 50 for gardening. So when this reaches 50.00, you will get the title Green Thumbs. You get a new title at 70 and another one at 90. I'm not going to tell you what they are because I want you to get that little bit of joy of seeing your new title of when you achieve that new very high level, because they are high levels and they'll take a long time, so good luck to you. Right, okay, so that's enough from Wurmpedia. Let's now switch back to the game. To Wurm, our lovely Wurm. Right, okay, so we got a sickle. Let's go pick a sprout. Let's not waste your time. Okay, now as luck would have it, actually, Rainstorm was kind enough to tell me where there was a sprout to demonstrate this. We will pick a sprout, then we will plant a sprout. That is how we get trees, through their sprouts. So if I activate the sickle and I right click on the tile with the tree and go to nature, I get an option. If the tree has a sprout on it, I will get the option to pick sprout. If the tree is too young or has shed it, because what happens with trees is, okay, they get too overaged and they die eventually, but when they die they replant a sprout back in that same tile. So even though the tree is gone past the overaged stage, so it then expires, you don't have to bother chopping it down and planting a new sprout, because when after the tree has died away, it automatically plants a new sprout. How fantastic is that? So we'll always have a tree there. Whether you cut it down or not, it will go through a constant cycle of dying, regrowing. How amazing. Okay, so we though want to pick a sprout. We're going to fail a lot. But our gardening skill, oh, well, that's very strange, because if I click on gardening, it says for sprouts. Oh, I think I must have, wait a minute, no. For sprouts, planting sprouts, but it must be talking about specific sprouts for flowers. Forestry, skill used in sprouts, fruit trees, usually requires a sickle. Higher. Okay, so flowers and trees, I'll change the title appropriately. So forestry and gardening. Well, that's good, because that gives you then two for the price of one. Can't be bad. Well, there ain't no price, but no, the price is listening to my monotone voice as I tried to make this a bit interesting, which I do apologise for. But when you try to do something that's to be informative, you try to tend to leave out humour, and it does tend to sound monotone, so forgive the monotone voice. Right, okay, so you're rewarded anyway, because you're now getting forestry and gardening. Two, like I say, for the price of one. Okay, so we have a sprout. Fantastic. Let's now go plant the sprout. and then we'll do the flower. And then we will plant the flower to show you how to create a grass tile. Okay, so up here, you can do them. Some trees, okay, yep, pro tip coming on, I feel it, so here it comes. With some trees, you can plant them side by side. So that tile has a birch tree, and that tile has a birch tree, and that tile has a birch tree. With some of the other trees, the bigger trees, like for example, our glorious oak tree up there, which you will notice eventually is one of the longest trees to grow. It takes the longest to age. It will take a long time, but it's a huge tree. If I planted that oak tree in the middle of all of our lovely birch trees, it would destroy them. It would wipe them all out. They would all die and perish. Because the oak tree, its roots are much bigger and it will just rip them up and destroy them. So when planting an oak tree, always plant them at least 3 tiles away from any other type of your trees. And the same goes for the most beautiful tree, which of course you all know, the willow. What a beautiful tree that is as well. That's my favourite looking tree, it's beautiful. But you'd plant that at least 3 tiles away from any other tree. Okay, there are certain trees, there's the oak, the willow. Can I think of any off the top of my head? No, because that will waste time then. So, there we go, there's the pro tip. That's all good. So that stops you destroying many trees which me and Rainstorm have over the years, because we didn't know that. You've now been given it on a plate. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, let's plant this sprout. Here we go, birch sprout. Okay, I'm going to click the tile, and with the sprout activated, don't get the option there. Okay, so we right click the tile then in that case. Wait a minute, so the sprout is activated. Quick select bar. Yeah, so this is, you'll do this like this. You'll right click, you'll go to nature. Now, plant naturally means it could plant this tree at the side of the tile. Excuse me, I'm very sorry. At least I had the brains that time to turn completely around. Okay, so if you plant the tree naturally, it can appear anywhere on the tile. It can appear on the side of the tile. Now, when you start doing your orchards and forests, you will want to put paths between them, so you can start going into like Mirkwood from Lord of the Rings. You can start to create all sorts of wonderful creative things, and you'll create your own Mirkwood, and you'll want a path running through it. And if you want it to look like Mirkwood, you're not going to plant them in the centre, because if you do, the tree obviously is like it says, it's going to be in dead centre. That means your path won't get obstructed. So if you're doing something like an olive tree, now there's another tree that you must plant 3 tiles away from any other tree. Olive trees are also, actually is there, no, I don't know if it does apply to olives, so forgive me for that. But olive trees, when you plant them, they are huge. And they will, if you've got one either side of the path, you're going to barely be able to get up that path. So if you're doing a Mirkwood, for example, you'd plant your olive this side, so it's blocking a bit of the path, and you'd block an olive over there, so that's blocking a bit of that. So you know, you get the feel of it getting very overgrown and spooky, because it does. But be warned, if you do olive trees into a forest, you will attract spiders. How cool is that? Hence, there's your Mirkwood. Right, I'm drifting, seriously drifting. Back to this. So there's your difference between planting naturally and planting in the centre. If you plant in the centre, your paths will always be clear and free of trees. Planting naturally will grow them sometimes on the sides, which may block your paths, get in the way of your paths. So there we are. So we're going to do in the centre. Now we may fail. Oh, that was very sad actually, because I wanted to show you that. But never fear, never worry, because I do happen to know that we do have some more sprouts. Let's see, we have, oh, a willow sprout. Actually I think I'd prefer, no, I definitely prefer an olive. Oh, I so hope I don't destroy this. We so need olive trees for olive oil. Question is where to plant it. Let's plant it right over here. I mean, you know, we're not laying out forests just yet. Okay, notice there's some flowers there, so I'm not going to plant it there because I want to keep the flowers for in a second, showing you that, which comes next. Okay, so here, what we're doing is we're going to try and plant this. So we'll activate the sprout, right click on the tile, nature, plant naturally this time. Yeah, let's try naturally. Oh, there we go. You heard that noise. That means it's planted. And there it is. Look, a cute little baby sprout. Hey, how cute is that? You wait till we get to breeding animals. You think of cuteness. You wait till you see some of the little animals we'll be breeding. Anyway, I'm straying. That's another episode. Right, okay, so there we go. Picking sprouts, planting sprouts. All the information you will need about planting your sprouts. Just like you've come to expect from me. Not just the picking and planting, but also the facts regarding the implications of where you pick and plant. So there you go, much deeper level. That's, I believe, exactly what you all want. So here we go. Next, moving on. Flowers. So that was forestry. We're now moving on to gardening. Gardening, of course, covers picking of flowers, picking of sprouts in general, which is bushes and hedges and grass and mixed grass. There's a big, there's a lot to it, but I'm going to make it simple for you. So we activate our sickle, select the tile, and you'll see here gather. This one says forage, botanize. We've done them, but we want to do gather. If you're not sure, right click, go to nature, and you'll see. Now notice that. Is that not interesting for the observant ones out there? And I know you all are. That says gather. That says pick flowers. I'm going to go with pick flowers just in case it doesn't pick them. There we go, pick flowers. Just like the Johnny Cash song. Okay, there we have a bouquet of yellow flowers. Fantastic. So, there is many reasons for picking flowers. I will quickly now cover one. Okay, let's put my saw, my shovel there. This is why you would pick flowers. Very important one for your animal pen. Okay, so the animals in the pen, they eat your grass because they are, we've covered how greedy they are. I've already gone through, and that's old. And that's too old, so I can't go there anymore. Okay, oh, rainstorm waves at me. I actually heard her this time, but I can't see her. Wow, oh, there she is. Okay, so animal in the pen packs the dirt. You want to keep your pen full of grass so they can eat your grass, and you obviously can have a second pen for your crops. So what do you do when all your animals have done that? Well, very simple. Use your shovel, cultivate it, pick some flowers, right click, plant the flowers. When you do that, please don't fail on me. Oh, goodness sake. Right, okay, we're picking more flowers. What we'll do, we'll put the sickle in here, and we'll find some more flowers. Oh, there's some more flowers. Do you see that? It's not hard to find flowers. It's hard to plant flowers, but it's not hard to find them. There we go, we got some more flowers. How wonderful. I'm going to spend this episode picking flowers. How innocent is that? Now, if you tell someone, oh, I watched this episode of someone picking flowers, they are going to believe you may need medical attention or medical help at the minimum. So, there we go, fantastic. We have a whole grass tile. Forget the flowers, because what we can do, in actual fact, now that we've got our grass back, we can pick them back up, so we can pick them. We might fail and destroy them, but we haven't. So, what we achieved there in our animal pen is we put the grass back down with the flowers, but not only that, we've also now got the flowers back again to replant. But we're not going to. What we'll do, we'll put these in the bulk storage bin. So we'll come down here. Can you hear Rainstorm munching on the food, on the casserole? I did another epic casserole. So she's having a good old munch. Right, so let's put the flowers in the bin. Get into good habits. Always try to do that. Remember quality levels. This is 39 quality level. When I put it into this bin, Okay, let's find... When I put it in the bin, if there is a quality level 10 flower in here, it's gonna equalise, average out the quality 10 that's in here and this 39, so it would end up being something like 20 quality level. Always bear that in mind. In the future, as we go along, you're going to see about 30 storage bins being BSBs being planted around this pen. Rainstorm is going to start having steam coming out of her ears, where I'm turning it into an industrial site, and she wants to have it something pretty with all flowers. But anyway, I'm straying. So just that to mention about the quality levels. You'll see all these different bins will have different quality levels in them. I will start with a BSB that will be quality level 0 to 9. The next one will be 10 to 19. The next one will be 20 to 29. The next one will be 30 to 39, etc. all the way up to 100, which will be somewhere over there, I guess. Right, I hope you have enjoyed this episode on forestry and gardening. I am sorry if I have waffled my usual amount of waffle, but that's what you've come to expect, let's face it. But we did drill down a little further into the details of this beautiful, wonderful game. So thank you ever so much for joining me, wherever you are in the world. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.